So, you would like to start a career in IT? That is an awesome idea as long as you stay away from databases.
We're just kidding to DBAs, but I hope you're on board for a metaphor because today Sasha and I are going to combine our love of gaming with our love of IT and talk about skills that transfer to both.
Crystal? Crystal?
Sorry.
Ha! Okay, you're there. So, let's start. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
I suppose I paused it.
Okay, perfect. So, we talked about starting out in IT. So, the first question is, what made you choose that path? And Crystal and I are both passionate gamers, and we kind of figured out that many IT folks out there are in the same boat. So, it's a great match, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you think about it, any RPG you choose, you have to choose a class. Just like in IT, you kind of have to choose a path. Even if the choosing of the path is generalist, you still have to choose something.
Absolutely. And if we look at RPGs, I think that is your favorite style of game, as far as I'm aware. And I'm okay with that too. So there's different roles. So, for example, I remember I was playing in a popular RPG long time ago. I was playing a druid. And when playing with others, I went into the healer role, okay? So healer, supporter. If we translate that into IT, where might it be? Maybe help desk or something?
Oh, definitely. Got to get those workstations back up and running. You got to get, your employees able to work. You definitely can translate some of those healer skills, some of that support, that real support, being there for them when they need you, right over into IT.
And keeping things running. It doesn't work without them, right?
That's true.
What other roles do we have there? We have like a tank.
Yeah, I like to play a tank. I want to go hit things right in the face. I want to be in the action. I want to have all the health, and I want to be right there taking all of the hits.
So that would be a security analyst, right in your face.
Absolutely, that's probably right.
And if the healer gets aggro, it's usually failure of the tank, right? So, and it's pretty much the same in IT. If the security analyst fails, everyone else gets the problem too. But what other roles would we have? So in some games, there's like more like a passive role, like a spectator, where you watch arena matches or whatever. What could that be in IT?
A spectator, maybe like a management role or supervisor role where you're, delegating tasks and you're you're not part of the action all the time, but you're there, kind of watching it, making notes, making sure the right people are informed.
And you get to say minus 50 DKP. I like this job. It's awesome. But also, sometimes I think like spectator role when stuff is happening and you're just watching it might be a Kubernetes administrator. So many things are happening and you have no idea why, but it somehow works, right? Anything else that comes to mind?
Oh, I'm sure we could go on with this tangent for quite a while, but I'll say that we've probably made our point. We've probably made our point that there's comparisons that can be made, and we're here to help share some of the comparisons that we've made and how we can use it to move forward.
And in the end, whatever you decide, IT is a big boat, and it's everyone's job to literally keep it afloat.
Yes. Yeah. And, just because you choose a class now doesn't mean you can't change classes later, or because you specialize in a specific field, maybe you want to go level up your blacksmithing to level 50, and then you pick up another thing. You're done with blacksmithing. You've learned all you can learn for now. Let's go learn something new. Whatever the case may be, you can switch paths. You can expand your skill set at any time. That's the beauty of working in IT.
We
It's
come to
always
that
changing.
later. But
Hmm.
where to start? Okay, the sad reality is that in most organizations, there's little time for training. It might not be organized. So everything is too short in general, and you have to be proactive. So there's kind of a talent tree, talent path. And let me sketch that out in a moment.
I see you over there hard at work.
Okay, here we go. The first one is pizza. Everyone loves pizza. Okay, so but then what do we then? What would be the first step on the journey to learn something?
Shadowing?
Shadowing, yes. So, and shadowing is a good start, right? So you learn from the experienced people, and you basically go to the simple task, and you go into rinse repeat mode, which is okay, a little bit boring, but you have to start somewhere, right? So, and I think
Well,
it is perfectly fine.
yeah, and the good thing about shadowing is you can shadow somebody who's not doing the same thing as you or whatever. If you want to learn about it, you can watch them. As long as you're not impeding their actual work, most people are okay with being shadowed because it means that you're trying to learn something new.
That is absolutely true. And you prove that you would like to grow, which is quite important for you. And it also puts a little bit of light on yourself towards your management, right? And at some point, the problem is that you're probably a little bit sick of. Did you try turning it off and on again? The self healing, which probably in the gaming world translates to you have to kill 5,000 of these werewolves because one of them stole the amulet from the princess, right? I still have no idea how the amulet ends in the stomach of the werewolf, but it probably doesn't matter.
Well, maybe it does matter. Maybe the how it wound up there is what you're interested in, and that's how you find your next thing to learn about, right? I mean, maybe those are the questions you have to ask yourself when you're trying to figure out what you want to learn. Is does the how matter? Does the why matter? Does none of it matter? And I don't care about this topic at all. Let me move to something else. Maybe I'm not willing to wait it out for that epic loot drop that comes from 1 in 5,000 werewolves. Maybe I'm not interested in spending that much time on a thing. So I want to go learn something else, go do something else that's more interesting.
Well, and the good thing is it prepares you for more complex tasks, right? For example, it's still a bit boring because we're talking about theory, okay? And theory is always boring, but it's important. So in a game, for example, you need to apply some calculations for your damage per second or armor mitigation, stuff like that. And it's kind of you need to be aware of the strengths of your class, the one that you've chosen, and the challenges of the job, I think,
Yeah.
and need to find a
Look for the
match.
glowing weak points.
The weak points, yeah, weak point analysis. That's an interesting one. We would usually call it root cause analysis. Okay, so in IT, it's the same, right? You need to go through stuff like, I don't know, IP subnet calculations, variable subnet length mask. Did you ever do this?
No.
But also you need to learn how far can you over provisioning stuff without stuff getting to explode, and so I think the next step is on this level, shadowing doesn't do it anymore. So the next
No.
step would probably be reading. Get a good old book. It's old fashioned, but it's perfect because it will provide a lot of fundamentals of theory.
Yeah. Well, and just because it's old fashioned doesn't mean it doesn't work. I mean, everyone has different ways of learning, right? And usually, in my experience, it's some combination of different things that help me really retain that knowledge and actually learn something. Whether it's reading from a book or taking a free online class or what have you to kind of or even a not free class. Maybe I want to go pay for a boot camp if I'm really serious about this thing. And whatever your method of learning is, there's lots of options out there.
That is a good point. We are so used that everything is free, but it's actually a good idea if you want to dig into a specific topic. It's worth to pay some dollars or euros or whatever for it, right? So there's loads of resources in the internet, and I think it's a good idea to start with the free stuff because sometimes you don't know is it really a topic that will keep you interested over a longer time period. So take the free resources as long as they're available, and for going deep, take a class, a boot camp, whatever, right? Even if it does cost something, and this will definitely prepare you because understanding the basics will put you in a much better position to understand more advanced concepts. So in gaming, again, if you're fighting fire demons, you know all the mages are like, ooh, fireball, boom, boom. Not good for fire demons. You want ice shards? Pew, pew.
Maybe if you're magic, you use ice or something. That you have to learn the strength and weaknesses, which we talked about earlier. But I think the point is that you're going to have to do side quests. You're going to have to gain some experience, and whether that experience is from an online class or from shadowing or from messing around in a lab environment that you're able to work with. I mean, all of those are ways of learning that hands-on is really helpful for a lot of people if you have the ability to have a lab environment. And with VMs these days, I mean, you can usually set yourself up a very small lab environment, even on a workstation. So, use your options. Go through your side quest. Don't avoid the side quests.
The escort quest where the NPC just
or walk
stops each
somewhere
5
between
meters,
your walking speed and
and
your
you just
running
want to
speed.
kill him. But basically, what happens is that over time you automatically pick up stuff that others do around you, and that is a good idea because it might you might become interested in a completely different topic or IT silo. Unfortunately, we're still looking at silos in IT. And as Crystal mentioned, you mentioned this earlier, so it does not mean that you have to start from scratch, because at that point, you already got a lot of knowledge, and there's still loads of stuff to learn, okay? But at this point in your career, that is absolutely fine. You're used to learn and grow, and the advantage is for most of us in IT, we are passionate, not about the gaming, right? The gaming, of course, but also about IT topics in general, about technology. And it's slightly different than compared to selling fridges or whatever, right? So, but back to the werewolves. We can't always kill the werewolves. We're going to change
sometimes
to
it's good. Sometimes you're going to have to go after
now,
a different enemy. IT doesn't sit still, that's for sure.
So, in some games, there is the magic respec potion, okay? What about if you want to change classes? Probably changing classes in a game is not really much of a thing, but you would change specifications or whatever, right, within a class. But in IT, it's kind of like changing into a different role, or maybe going into two roles at the same time. Mind the burnout, but it's possible, okay? And there's different options. So, for example, in IT, you could become a generalist, and that is an extremely valuable position. And if you look at job specs, it's getting more and more important to have generalists in an environment. And there's kind of a satisfaction if you can tell yourself, like, I'm the one-man army. I can do all of this on my own.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely a big space for it, because I think that we're really trying to break down those silos, right? And the IT generalist breaks down silos because they have to do all of the work. I mean, on the other hand, I think generalists can be prone to burnout, as you mentioned, because you're trying to do everything yourself. So, mind the burnout. We definitely don't want to encourage you to burn yourself out. But I think if you don't want to be a generalist, maybe you want to advance into a leadership role, or you want to go into management, or even if you just want to switch to a new specification, because, well, IT is growing and changing, and now we have Kubernetes admins that are in demand. And so maybe you think, that's what I'll go do. Maybe I'll go be a cloud architect or whatever. Maybe you don't already have that experience, so you have to learn it. These are things that are going to happen in your career. I mean, very rarely are you going to, if you start as a DNS admin, then you stay as a DNS admin your whole career. That's, in my experience, it's not a thing that happens. So you have to be prepared to make those changes and find something that you enjoy, at least. I mean, if you're going to have to do it every day, maybe you can at least get some satisfaction out of it.
Although you can have a lot of fun with changing DNS entries, but that's a different topic. So the other idea is quite obviously, as we mentioned already, learning other silos, okay? And it's totally up to you how deep you go there. You could keep it on a like superficial level, which would make you the generalist. But if you're able and if you're able to manage it, you can get a little bit deeper in different silos, and that will put you on a different path. I would need my whiteboard again. I'm just too lazy to pick it right now. So if you stay within like a traditional environment, this would put you on the path towards like an IT director or maybe even CIO level, whatever. Another interesting option would be if you go to like service providers or something. This would make you uh, an ideal IT architect. So you're going outside, visit customers, and you see different environments all the time, which comes with its own challenges, but it's definitely an exciting role.
True. True. Yeah, it's definitely a different experience when you work for a single company versus when you work for a lot of companies at the same time. It's very different. Coming from experience, it's a very different environment. You don't get the same level of information, right? You're not going to get the level of depth of knowledge um, that you would get from only working in one environment when you work for a bunch of environments. But instead, you get a more varied experience because they'll be in different industries or they'll have totally different infrastructure setups, some different combinations of cloud and on premises. And, their requirements are all different. Everybody has different requirements. I mean, some of them will be the same if they subscribe to your compliance or anything like that. They'll have those requirements. But aside from those, they all have individual requirements aside from that. So, you wind up with a broader knowledge, but it's maybe not as deep.
Which is fine. Because that's obviously not something for everyone. Okay, and the other goal would be to become a subject matter expert.
Yeah, subject matter expert, where you choose a specific topic or software or what have you, avenue. And then that's where you just go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And you become so much of an expert that people know that they can rely on you to answer questions of any sort, even if it's a beginner question or all the way up to something more advanced. If you don't know the answer, you're likely the most valuable person in figuring out what the answer is because you have so much experience with that thing.
And in the gaming world, just remember the situation when you meet with like 19 buddies and you go down that cave to raid that dragon or whatever it is. And as a subject matter expert, you know exactly where to stand. You know your global cooldowns. You know what the boss is doing. And here it comes. In the gaming world, each raid group would just take you in an instant, in a blink, right? If you're looking to change your group. And it's similar in a work environment. If you are a subject matter expert, a well-known one, it's so easy if you want to broaden your horizon and seek opportunities elsewhere, right? I'm not forcing you, but it makes it easier, definitely. And obviously to get there is a process that takes many, many years. And we are far beyond taking online classes or Googling, okay? Crystal, you mentioned already labbing. Labbing is super important because you should not destroy your work environment, but it's perfectly fine to destroy and rebuild your lab environment. And you need that hands-on experience to get to that point. And I don't know what is the end boss in IT, maybe a CCDE exam?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just picturing a dragon that's a CCDE dragon that you are preparing to go fight, and you have to go learn everything that you can about it, what can go wrong and what can go right, and practice your exam and practice the fight. And, those are the things that you do if you're going on these big raid fights. So you don't learn everything there is to know about that fight the first time you go into it. You'll read walkthroughs online or watch videos of someone else do it, but you probably won't pick up everything the first time. That's not usually how it works. It takes practice. So I like that. I like that comparison. That's a big exam. That's a big effort to learn everything, to pass that exam, get that certification. And then when you have it, it marks you with it garners more reputation. So as you said, you can be accepted lots of places because you have that reputation of having taken on that dragon.
The evil one. Okay, bonus level. In games, there's one particular part which we didn't talk about so far, and that is PvP. Now, what would that mean in a work environment?
PvP. What's it like working with other people? Working with people, working with customers. I think that that's really PvP is dealing with the difficult ones, right? Dealing with difficult colleagues, difficult managers, difficult customers. Yeah, that's what you have to. That's where you can apply your PvP experience. And I don't mean that we're out to harm other people. What I mean is you learn how to deal with them in the same way that you learned how to deal with that dragon fight in a way, right? Like you learn their weaknesses in a way. You learn how to talk to them, especially difficult colleagues. There's no getting away from them. They are working with you. You can't escape them unless you leave and work somewhere else or they leave and work somewhere else. So you kind of have to learn how to handle them, how to work with them in a way that doesn't get you canned from the guild.
The thing is, in a game, you would put those people on the kill on sight list, which you can't do with your coworkers. Okay, you shouldn't do with your coworkers. Um, but I think gaming will prep you in a way as you learn how to deal with frustration, and that definitely helps a lot in dealing with difficult customers, difficult colleagues, etc., etc. Because that is something that's part of our lives, basically from the early beginnings till whatever, right? So it's important lessons to learn. And I don't know if you ever watched this stupid old video, Angry German Kids. Google for it. So if you lose control in a difficult situation, it's not good. It won't end well.
It definitely won't. And it gets you a reputation. And in this case, a bad reputation. No one wants to work for someone who gets labeled as a diva or something along those lines, hard to work with, those things that your reputation will make the rounds. And people that you work with that then move on to other companies will, when they see that your name has come up in maybe those interview process, they'll say, oh no, they're hard to work with. And then you won't want to work with them. So, that you definitely don't want that. Learning patience is good. Learning how to work with other people. To my mind, I'm thinking of like guilds in RPGs or in MMORPGs, where you have loads of people that don't necessarily always work together, but you'll have craftsmen in the guild that do specific things. So if you want that armor piece, even though you don't like that person, then you'll figure out a way to work with them in a way that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, hopefully, so that you can just translate that experience directly into working with people in real life, right? You have to work together. You have to work together to plan those raids, even if you have a Leroy Jenkins in the mix, right? Someone who's going to jump in there and go headlong, and no one wants to work with them, but you have to because they're part of the raid group. So you have all of that experience already. You just have to apply it.
Oh, wait. I think there's a demon. Ah!
Sasha?
Okay, it wasn't the demo, it was just the CISO. Okay. I interrupted you?
Yes, I'm glad. I'm glad and sad that you got him, though. Huh?
Okay, we talked a little bit, and it's quite an adventure, right? So we talked about this, okay, and how to have fun in gaming and in your career. And career progression in IT has a lot of stuff that is based on experience that you learned in gaming. And I think, Crystal, we are successful, aren't we?
I like to think so.
Okay, so famous last words before we next live.
I think that this has been really fun. I hope that everyone else had as much fun as we did making those comparisons to gaming and to our work experience and leveling up in both. Thank you, Sasha, for going down this road with me. It's been great. And I hope everyone had a great time at Thrive Camp. And good luck to all of you on your career journeys.
All right. Send me your gamer tag, guys.